right, the game clock is winding down on this year's legislative session. With about 2 weeks left, you could say we're about halfway through the fourth quarter. Seems like a good time to call a timeout, right? Gather the team, figure out how to finish this out. Legislative leaders took time to do that today, but with reporters in the huddle asking questions about the game plan, like if they've stuck to it or if we can expect some sort of razzle-dazzle here at the end. So that's where Joe Paris, chief reporter, political reporter, Joe Paris joining me to kind of figure out if the goal for getting out of the Statehouse on time, is this something that's realistic, Joe?
All right, Brian, so the goal is to be done on March 24th, and that is 2 weeks from Friday, so we'll wait and see. But there's two education issues being debated that are really some of the focal point. What to do about the proposal to send grant money to Idaho students to pursue workforce development careers, and the second, what to do about ESAs, educational savings accounts. You may remember a major ESA pitch was voted down recently in the Idaho Senate. But let's go back. We'll start with Idaho Launch, and that's the idea from Governor Little's office to send eligible Idaho high school students $8,500 grants to help them pursue in-demand careers after high school graduation or for those who have a GED. So the goal is to fill areas of Idaho's job force that really are needed by helping students cover the costs of learning those fields. Now, critics of the plan have pushed on the cost of the program and if it will really even help the job force problems in Idaho. And while it is possible that the bill, House Bill 24, is amended and voted on by lawmakers, there's now another factor in play, a trailer bill to Idaho Launch that aims to fix problems that critics see with $8,500 grants. So bill sponsors of the trailer say that it makes three big changes to Idaho Launch. It enhances legislative oversight of the program. It ensures greater skin in the game from participants by capping the maximum amount of funds that families would be able to get through the program. And it also limits the use of Idaho Launch funds to just tuition and fees. The cost of the program is also cut down from $60 to $7 million from the previous price tag out of $100 million. Senate Pro Tem Chuck Winder detailed the likelihood of Idaho Launch at this point. Meanwhile, Minority Leader Alana Rubel for the Idaho Democrats expressed worries about rushing into something new at this point.
I think the trailer bill kind of outlines most of the concerns that were voiced by a majority of the Senate members. There are probably some that just won't support it at all, no matter what you do to it. But that was the effort to try and get enough votes to move it forward. Because I think there's a good consensus that we need workforce development. We're just not sure the way 24 was written was the way to do it.
I'm a supporter of Launch. I would like to see that move forward. And we're getting at a point in session where it's going to be really hard to cobble together something coherent other than Launch, frankly.
So we'll have to wait and see if a deal is made on the big idea. And the other big idea in play that we've talked a lot about here on the 208, ESAs. Long story short, a proposal by Republican lawmakers would allow public tax dollars to follow students into private school, religious school, or homeschool. A portion of money would go to a family in a savings account, and another portion of that money would go to public schools. Now, the idea being that money should follow students to help them learn, rather than just having it go to a public school where a student might not do as well as other environments, according to proponents. So is the topic dead after it was voted down in the Idaho Senate? Well, Republican leaders share their behind-the-scenes Statehouse insight. House Speaker Mike Moyle says he believes there's appetite for ESAs in the House. Dems, meanwhile, maintain that ESAs should not be the idea Idaho lawmakers run with. They argue public schools need a boost, not a demotion.
I think there's a lot of support on the House side to do something on the ESA, but I don't see them interconnected with the K-12 budget. I know that some are concerned about that, but I don't see that. At least I haven't seen that way, that anything to make me think that's happening now. So I think that you'll see like a lot more movement like you saw in the Senate with the introduction of another bill this week on that issue. I think that the House committee's talking about introducing Representative Cloud's bill. They may have done it today. I know they were talking about doing something. So you're seeing the issues move around the edges, but you haven't got it to where it's all, full steam ahead. And what that ends up being, I just don't know, because you're not seeing everybody coming together yet on that issue. There's still discrepancies between the two groups.
I don't think that we need to start throwing public dollars at private schools in order to claim that we are pro-school choice. We have that. But I do believe it's really important. I've always said I'm too conservative to support vouchers because I believe that there should be serious accountability that comes with the spending of public dollars.
So two of the biggest topics lawmakers wanted to tackle are not done right now, but they still have a chance. And, Brian, it's interesting because there's a situation here where lawmakers don't get either done because, by law, they don't have to get, things other than the budget and rule review done. And with really the situation with what Speaker Moyle has put out saying we want to go home by the 24th, it puts pressure on lawmakers to start getting things done. Because, again, if they get done with all the budget appropriations and they get done with the rule review and there's other things out there that haven't gotten done, they may have to wait till next year.
That's true. Well, this is how it works. You set up a bill, you pass a bill, and if it requires funding, well, you got to account for that in the budgets with JFAC. And so then this is kind of like the dry portion, but it can also be the very important portion of the legislative session. The last couple of years, they made a few headlines when it comes to funding and not funding certain things.
Right, and like with Andrew's story that we just talked about, everything that set up the problem that the child care people are talking about is based on budgets from a few years ago and based on the allocation. So some of the budget stuff we talk about now may be boring. It sets up major issues in the future.
A couple weeks ago. All right, thanks, Joe.